So, welcome back to segment 2 of my interview with Dr. Amer Hanna Fatuhi. Um, Thank you for sticking around, Amer.
Thank you, sis. Oh, well.
So, now we have another topic, and this topic is very, very dear to me, obviously, because it's about the Chaldean history. And
I didn't know that.
you didn't know that it was dear to me?
Okay.
Well, and I have to admit, you and I had disagreements before, and I have to admit that you were right. It's not that hard for me to be the kind of person, though, that does admit. But I did not know at that back then where you were, what was the history link or what was missing until when I became executive director of the Chaldean Cultural Center, and it became a deeper responsibility to understand our history. And just naturally being in that environment, I just was, taking everything in. And I loved it. I loved learning more and more. And then I found that other people were trying to say, no, we're not Chaldean. And then I thought, okay, well, let me look into this because, okay, what's going on here? I'm kind of now looking back. I'm glad that happened. And I'll tell you why. Because it forced me to dig deeper and deeper. In our previous interview, this is what you were saying. And I totally agree with the fact that we tend, and I don't know if this is because of the new generation or it's a Western thing, but I don't feel like people dig deep enough. Even in academia, I get very surprised on the information is there for them, but I don't think that people take the time or put the effort. And so people that just make a claim, somebody across from them will just, believe it. But, you've done so much for the Chaldean community regarding their history. You even designed the Chaldean flag, which I have a bunch of them at home, but I know you brought some more gifts for me, and I do appreciate that. And I do have a right here. So can you tell us a little bit of story about you designing this flag, at what inspired it? I would like to learn about that.
Before I start, I love your cross. You know the cross, your cross is a Knight Templar cross. You know what's the Knight Templar?
Well, you can explain it, but
most fierce warriors during the Crusades war.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
And a lot of people, they think Crusades or Crusaders invented or invaded Middle East. And it was like a war between like invaders and locals, this is not true. It was between two powers, the Europeans, who for more than 200 years were subjected to Muslims or Islamic invasions, and enough is enough, so they decided to stop this invasion. The same way we have the MAGA that's stopping the illegals from coming to the United States. Now, these are the Knight Templars. Concerning the flag, in 1983, we were invited to design, or there was a contest to design the provinces, Iraqi provinces, logos.
This was in Iraq?
In Iraq. So I designed for Babylon, which is, I believe that's my ancestors' home. Ur, which is Ur of the Chaldeans. Basra, although my mom is from Tilkip, but she was born in Basra. And Nineveh, because where most of the Chaldeans are located. Not most at that time, because at that time most Chaldeans were in Baghdad, Basra, elsewhere. Anyhow, so I won these 4 designs. It was international contest. The next year, the Ministry of, I don't know what they call it. Anyhow, so they said, we need the flags. So at that time, I started to study flags history. You know, I have degrees in engineering and art, and I've been working on my degree in history. So I did my homework. I studied for more than 2 years how to design flags. And I designed 4 flags and they won. Then there was the first ever contest to design the Iraqi national flag. And out of more than 6,000 international entities and artists and designers, graphic designers, my flag won immediately. And that was the contest started 1985, 1986 was the result. However, at that time, I was in jail. I was detained because, like, what they call it, like, freedom fighter, whatever, thinker, detained.
That was during Saddam's time?
Yeah, during Saddam time. So Saddam, when he learned that I have issue against, like, his regime, they canceled the contest. However, during that time, I started to 1994, beginning 1995, I started to design the Chaldean national flag. So I said, I have to do something unique that no other flag in the world looks like it. That's why, if you see the flag, it has 2 stripes straight representing Tigris and Euphrates. And in the middle is the Chaldean Babylonian star or sun, which represent civilization. And this is the civilization between 2 rivers. So it represents, because from my point of view, Chaldeans are not just Catholic or Chaldean Nestorians, 1976 Assyrians, or Syriac Catholic or Orthodox Iraqi, but also it includes Mandeans, Jews, even Yazidis, and more than 80% of the Arabist 12th, which means Shia Ja'fariya, Ja'fari Shias. So I said, let me do something represent all the Chaldean peoples, not only the Christian ones. So that's why I came up with that flag. And guess what? 3 scholars, Iraqi scholars, wrote me a letter of authenticity, whatever. It is like genuine, original. And one of them was, we call them Sheikh al-Rasamin Iraqi, which means the senior Iraqi artist, Isa Hanadabish, who is from Tilkepe, and he was the pioneer artist who started the first modern art movement, 1940-1941. So that was one of them. The second was Ziad Majid Haidar, one of the greatest artists, and he was also sentenced to death with me. He passed away.
So, Amer, you were able to escape before that.
By chance, because there was a pardon to all who were detained, and they didn't know that they pardoned me by mistake. So I fled the country.
Oh, so during that time that they didn't know, you fled the country.
Yeah.
And so everything that you wrote, for the most part, about the Chaldeans, was that after you fled?
No.
It started over there.
I started in 1988 when I was in Iraq.
Okay.
And
there wasn't an issue writing about the Chaldeans at that time?
No, they used to, because, it is an Arabist country, like the Ba'athists are Arabist.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, for an example, I had a lot of interviews in Iraqi, Arab, and even international magazines. I have copies of them from the beginning of the 80s, when I'm stating that we are Chaldeans, we are the indigenous people of Iraq. We're not Arab, we're not Muslims.
But I believe that Saddam, from my understanding, he appreciated that history. Would you say that?
Yeah, but he somewhat considered like Chaldeans Arabs, because in his mind everybody is Arab. Okay, it's like the movie, like the fat, whatever Greek
My
girl.
big fat Greek
Yeah,
wedding.
which her dad thinks everything is Greek. I love the Greek. Uh, don't
I
get me wrong.
So you ended up, but for the most part, regarding your books, most of them, I believe, were published here. Your most recent one is the Chaldean Legacy. Is that correct?
The
I
most
haven't.
recent one is the Jews of Babylon. That one,
I mean, regarding the
yeah,
Chaldeans.
yeah,
Yes, regarding the Chaldeans.
2021.
So I want to mention. So I know that, like I said, you know. Let me give a little bit background about how we met. Well, we met in 2004. My book was coming out, and actually it did come out. My first book, The Feminine Art, came out during that time, and you and I started talking because you're an author, I'm an author, and then we established the Iraqi Artists Association.
Yep. And you led that association.
Yes, I was president of that, and I learned quite a bit. We did a lot of events. Really, that was the beginning of the process, and then some things came up regarding the Chaldean Assyrian identity, and it got heated in general. And what bothered me during that time is not your stand or anybody else's stand, but it was heartbreaking that as a minority Christians that we were going through that kind of struggle, and I was trying to understand it better, and you were taking a more authoritative.
I'm listening.
you were taking a different stand with that, and then over the years, as I said, as I studied our history, I was stunned that first you were correct, but
Not always.
your approach was a little bit different, but you were correct with regards to the historical. I saw why you got heated up, and the reason is, in looking in our history, I discovered that what's being done is actually the opposite, that the Chaldean name has had a longer history, that it has been continuous.
I'm still waiting.
I'm going to just tell you what bothered me more than the people that are trying to change the narrative, or the people that know this history. Why are they not speaking up? Why is the history is there? It's not that hard. I would consider myself an independent scholar because I read a lot and I research a lot, and I would like to share my book because I'm very proud of this.
Yeah, I put it in my article about you.
Thank you. I need to read that. I heard, that you wrote
And
an article.
I also mentioned like the time we met, or like we met at the printing shop in 2004, and a lot of other details.
Well,
you will love it.
I will appreciate that. I appreciate what you wrote, and I know that you. I really did it out of love, but I also did it because first and foremost, I wanted to understand. As a Chaldean, I wanted to understand my own history. There's a lot of young people, they want to do the same thing. What I discovered made me wonder, why are people, whether in academia, including like Chaldeans that are in that role, and others who are aware of this history, why are they not defending it?
Who aware of this history, like from the Chaldeans leaders?
I mean, it's right there, though. I mean, I'm not much smart. The only difference when people try to attack me about my own knowledge, I say all I do is read.
Yeah. Can I answer your 10 questions?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, you know me. I'm not into religious or politics. I'm a historian and a visual artist. And I say it as is. Since I started this movement, 1980, okay, I've been paying from my own pocket.
What do you mean movement?
Like Chaldean movement, because this is a movement.
The awareness about
educational
awareness. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm into the education, not politics, not religion. The problem is our religious leaders, except one or two, they are always reducing our present to our religion, Christianity, okay? Like most of the church leaders, First of all, they don't have guts to talk about these subjects, and they cover their, me. I'm gonna say it as is. So this is not gonna hurt me more. But honestly,
They've already gone through it.
yeah, they don't have guts, and they always hide their cowardness behind, oh, we are tolerance, we are Christian. Okay, even in the Bible, Jesus stated, treat others the way they treated you. Okay.
But could it be, because I have interviewed a lot of the priests, and from my understanding from their response is that for them, the most important aspect is keeping the peace, and that they believe that on a spiritual level, it's more important for people to unite spiritually than to be divided by identities. That's my understanding from their response.
Let me put it this way. It is a big, fat lie, because it is never about spirituality. First of all, Jesus stated in the Bible, my kingdom is not from this world. So that's spirituality. We're talking civilian or civil rights, not spiritual rights.
Well, and the cowardly part, where would that I mean, what would they be afraid of? What is there to fear by saying, okay, right now?
Power and control. They fear to lose power and control. Because
why would they
if they shift,
that?
if they shift their power and control to the civil leaders, nobody would care about them. It's like, let me give you an example. In Iraq, before the 2003 change, any cleric was like just a cleric, like Muslim cleric. After 2003, and when Obama handed out Iraq to Iran 2009, every cleric became like God on earth. They had like the utmost power. They can do whatever they want, when before they were just like employees of whatever, the endowment, the Muslim endowments, the Islamic endowment. So now, let me just answer you. We are Chaldeans. Personally, my dad is from Baghdad. My family from Baghdad is the largest family in Baghdad. We are from Shandakh Bricha. Okay? The largest Syriac family. My mom from Tilkepe. Okay? However, in 1977, when there was like a census, and I was like young at that time, very young, so my dad wrote Chaldeans on ethnicity, in the ethnicity part. So he looked at me and he said, later. So when they left, I said, why did you write Chaldean, not Syriac? He said, son, Syriac is a sect. It's like a church. But we are all Chaldeans. You love history. You've been spending your time since you was 14 years old at the Iraqi Museum. Go do your homework. I went, I did my homework, and I figured out that we are all Chaldeans. Syriac is a church. I mean the Iraqi Syriac, Catholic and Orthodox. And that's why I started educating people about Chaldeans. And then came the 1972, when our saint, Marpolo Sheikhu, was deceived. Somebody who trusted agreed to use the term Syriac in the 1972 Iraqi manifest. I'm not going to translate it. It's like giving the rights, the cultural rights to Syriac speakers, which was a step in the back. And one of those who were involved in it was Ahmed Hassan al-Bakr, the president, because he is the one who created the Nestorian Church, 1968 Nestorian churches for Mar Darmu. Anyhow.
And what was the political benefit of this?
I have no clue. Maybe it's like, one important thing, the Ba'athist wanted everybody to think that he is Arab. So that's why you see like now the Kurds in the north, they support the so-called Assyrians, and they're giving them their lot of rights and financially supporting them. However, they are not doing the same with Chaldeans, because they know anytime they can pull the rug from beneath the so-called Assyrian people, because they are not Assyrian, they are Chaldean historians. In fact, their patriarch letter in 2021, 2022 to the Nation League, whatever, he stated in his letter with all the 10 tribes that they are Nestorians and they are not from Iraq. And they want the nation of the leagues to find them a country where they can live. The letter is there.
But the Nestorians, weren't they anyways Chaldeans who just
You
had
are
a
mixing
different belief?
you are mixing two things.
Mm-hmm.
The church started in Iraq in the 1st century,
Mm-hmm.
when Chaldeans converted to Christianity in the first half of the 1st century.
Mm-hmm.
And they were Catholic. And what I mean by Catholic, not followers of St. Peter Church,
Mm-hmm.
because the Catholic term means universal.
Right.
So Christianity was universal before start divided to schools and churches and whatever. So we started as Catholic. In the 4th century, they started the so-called end of 4th century, beginning of 5th century, the Nestorian church. And the reason that the Persian, because at that time Chaldeans were occupied by the Persians. That's why the 3 wise men in the Bible called Persians when they were in fact Chaldeans.
I see.
Because
That's
only
sometime
Chaldeans,
is there? Okay.
because only Chaldeans were scholars in astronomy and astrology, beside math, science, whatever. So anyhow, we are Chaldeans. In 1990, after the first Gulf War, there was no-fly zone. And the historians, the Chaldean historians, who adopted the term Assyrians in London, 1976, with the help from MI5 and the Anglican Church, who they were working behind the scenes. So they did the synods, and in the synods, they agreed, some of them agreed to adopt the Assyrian name. And why is that? Because they were cowards. And because the actual patriarch, Mar Ishai Shamoun the 23rd, was assassinated a year earlier because he refused to change his seal, the church seal, from Hila Shamoun, Patriarchate Kaldai, like the humble Shamoun, the patriarch of the Chaldeans, to the patriarch of the Assyrians. And he told them, we're Chaldeans, we're not Assyrians. Now, let put aside the church, whatever conflict. Let's talk science and history. Historically, there are 3 kinds of Assyrians. The Proto-Assyrians, who switched settlement in north of Mesopotamia, which was occupied or which was inhabited by Proto-Chaldees with Sumerian culture, to they put a fence and they call it Ashur. deriving the name from their god. And those people, yeah. So those people were not even Mesopotamian. They were Asian Anatolian. Asian Anatolian. And they invaded north of Mesopotamia for a couple of hundred years, 200, 250 years. And they were kicked out by the Chaldeans. And anyhow, so those those people were and they didn't leave behind anything because they were from different races. They have different languages. They didn't leave anything behind except the name of the town Ashur and their god Ashur. Other than that, and in fact, its name, even the way we are writing the name right now, it is from two syllables, and which means God, and Asar, which means, and that second syllable was derived from the name of Ishtar, Inanna. So it's not even original. The Akkadians wrote that name because they didn't know what's the meaning of that foreigner god, but it has some influence on the locals there. And guess who are the real Assyrians? They are the ancient Assyrians. And those people were Babylonians, a branch of Babylonia. And they were ethnically Chaldeans. And the first king who started that kingdom, 1813 BC, was Shimshi-Adad I. And his son, Ashmida Khan, contacted Hammurabi and said, oh, we are the same people, so I submit my loyalty to you. Okay, so everybody was Chaldean, Babylonian. They had, like the Westerns, they helped us understand the history, but also they did a lot of mistakes. Like, for example, they said, oh, Shimshi-Adad is Amorite. Okay, Amorite is not a race or ethnic name. It means Western because they were settled west of Babylon. Okay, and the same people, like the same Amorite, were called by the Sumerian during the Sumerian cultural period Marutu, which means the same West. It's like now we call Aramaic or Aramu. It means the Western or the people of the plateau. It is not a race. It's not ethnicity. It's those people who live at the plateau, on the plateau.
Well, the thing is, what you're describing, okay, this is especially for somebody who has not opened any book about Chaldeans, or who has...
I can simplify it.
Or who gets their information out of Wikipedia, for instance, and relies on...
Wikipedia is the worst thing.
Right,
because it is penetrated.
People want just the easy way to absorb this. So what I'm saying is, when I researched in
Wikipedia,
no, in academic books.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it's very easy. I mean, it took me a long time, but it's when I saw the thread and I saw how inaccurate Wikipedia was and how they described us as a Chaldean as a religion, which
because it's penetrated. They have 222 people, and 22 of them they are.
Well, who would want to?
It is all about money. It's about the green because they are paying money. Okay.
Well, at the end of the day, though, I do have to say that we are responsible for a lot of this.
Yes, absolutely.
When people try to say anything about it, and that's why, like, your work is important. It's us to blame, because if we were to look into this a little bit deeper and understand, and plus some people say, well, why not just make the peace and just call everybody Assyrian?
Peace through strength, through truth.
The thing is, though, when you look Chaldean, the word Chaldean is one of the oldest words that's still being in use. Second of all, when you look at who they were scholars, mathematicians, scientists, philosophers. They were very advanced people. Why would I give up that heritage when I'm known, I grew up knowing I'm Chaldean and I never actually heard of anything else. So I think, does our youth even understand why would they give that up? And to be honest too, regarding, I'm not trying to knock any community down, but when you do look at the history of what Assyrians are known for, it's the exact opposite of what the Chaldeans stand for. And spiritually, I've always felt like when I started reading into Chaldeans, that's before all this different identities and stuff, and whatever was described felt so familiar to me. I could relate. I thought, oh, this is why our community is like this. There is really a level of sophistication that we have that I think comes from our bloodline. And but how much do we nurture that?
Okay. Let
We
me tell you
don't.
this.
We
I
don't
told you,
nurture it.
let me simplify it.
Mhm.
Our leaders are not up to the challenge. Okay, so they hide behind a lot of excuses. Now, historically, the first king who started the Assyrian kingdom, he was Babylonian and Chaldean ethnically. In the Bible, Ashur or Namrud, depends on the version, he was a king of Babylon, and he went to the north and started Nineveh, Kalchu, Rahbatir, and Rasin. And he started the Assyrian kingdom. Why? Because there was a city called Ashur by the Proto-Assyrians, the Anatolians.
But people would say if they're from that area, wouldn't they just be called Assyrians
No.
if you come from that
You see,
region?
when you are in America, you called American. If you are in Russia, you are Russian. If you are in Iraq, you are Iraqi. But you can change nationality. You cannot change ethnicity. That's why in the ancient time there was Babylonia and there was Assyria. These are regions. So like you cannot say Babylonian ethnicity because that's a joke. Okay? Babylonians were Chaldeans ethnically. And when they went to the north, and by the way, they were already in the north.
Right. That's
Okay.
that's another thing I
Yeah.
learned. Everything I
Yeah,
learned
they
was
were in the north,
contradicting
but
with what
the king,
people say.
the king who led them and started the kingdom, he started a kingdom called Assyrian because his capital was Ashur. Although he didn't like it, he went to Ikabalat for 2 years until he rebuilt Nineveh and went to Nineveh. However, so he was Chaldean Babylonian. Every single dynasty ruled during the ancient Assyrian time were Chaldeans. Like, until now, when we want to get married, we go to Iraq and go to Chaldean towns or cities and get like a girl or a guy because we know these are pure, good people, not corrupted, by some Western mentalities or whatever. So we go there and we marry. And this is what all the kings, Assyrian kings, used to do. Like Shamuramat, they call it Assyrian queen. Yeah, she was the queen of Assyria, but she was Chaldeans. Okay? From Sipar. So anyhow, so those people they are mentally challenged, and they think they are delusional. They think because there was Assyria and they think Assyria was an empire entire time. They didn't know that Assyrian is like 300 something, and 79 years of that 300 years were occupied once again by the Babylonians.
Well, this is why I think education is so important, and this is why I know that we've run out of time, but this requires more time. So I'll open it up for another debate. I'll create all these situations where, I don't consider debates. I really like
It is not. I don't mind
discussion,
yeah,
a
listen.
dialogue.
But you know what?
Because I want to educate
I
our
look
people too.
for.
I mean,
I look for helpful, positive discussion. But
hopefully, yes.
you cannot discuss topics with ignorant. You cannot discuss a topic with idiots.
Well,
You cannot
most
discuss.
of the people that want to have a
Just let me finish.
conversation, though, honestly, they are. I know a lot of people who want to learn. They're not trying
If
to
they
create
want to learn,
problems. They want to learn.
They can come to the
Yes.
Chaldean Center,
Yes.
and I'm open to discuss. Like, I love the round table.
Okay, that's
bring
what
me,
I mean.
bring
That's
me,
what I
bring
mean.
me 20 kids. I mean, like I invited when I talked to my friend, my brother, Raed Mary, and his daughter. She is studying. She is like she can become like an attorney, as well as my brother Tamil Katib, his daughter Jasmine, also studying. I said, invite all those young people to the Chaldean Center. I'll meet them and I'll open a discussion with them about
Which Chaldean Center do you mean?
like in Sterling Heights, which is by my studio.
Okay.
Okay, we have a room so we can discuss things. Anyhow, so just let me mention one important point.
Okay.
Although
Yeah, because we
yeah,
are
I
running
know.
out of time, and also 'cause
Concerning-
I feel like we could have another possible discussion with this.
absolutely.
It deserves more.
Yeah, but you know what? I told you, I'm not into circus. I'm not into
Okay.
discuss like serious matter with ignorant or idiot
No,
or
well-
somebody who has political agenda. Okay,
No,
I know. Listen, I've been doing this for the
I
last
know.
30 years.
And I know you've been very
The most important
You've
thing
been
now,
attacked by a lot
because
of
now they are
people.
attacking me.
Yes,
they
I
they
know
are
that.
saying, like Amer is Shandej. He's Kurdish because they figured out there is like an area called Shandej in the north of Iraq. Hold on.
Yeah.
So the issue is when I was in Iraq, leaving Iraq, I had to, don't argue with the passport, whatever.
Honestly, like
So they put the name Shandej. This is not even my name. Okay. Anyhow, so I took it because I just wanted to flee. Secondly, regarding the Chaldean flag, since 2004, I said the Chaldean flag belonged to the Chaldean nation. However, in 2011, I believe Zazzle and some other companies start making money, a lot of money out of that. So Father Yesu and Amhasele and other people, friends, they said, why don't you put some percentage and they can donate the money to the Chaldean Center? Not to me. I never gain a penny out of the Chaldean whatever. So, and then when I found that they are attacking this, I said no. Even that
you're taking off the
percentage,
table.
I don't want it. So I published an article. Then we did a video explaining that the Chaldean flag belonged to the Chaldean nation. Anyone in the world can print, sell, distribute the flag. The only thing that they can do it is altering the flag. That's it. I'm good.
Well, thank you very much. People
Thank
are
you,
very
yeah.
proud of the flag. I've gone to many festivals where they're carrying it around. So
It's unique.
trust me, people are very proud of it. We will have more discussions, Amer, okay, for sure. We will
Sister,
create
anytime.
that table, that round table that you're seeing. This is an important topic. And like I said,
I can do that.
thank you, Samiono, yesterday. He brought
Yeah,
up your
I
name.
love him. He's my
So,
brother.
It was he started this whole thing. So
Yeah.
I mean, for today.
Yeah.
But I look forward to having more discussions with you.
And
Okay.
you know what? Any round table, any organization, Chaldean organization,
Okay.
I don't have problem with anybody.
Okay. Well, we'll have
Okay.
that. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you, Amer.
Thank you, Am. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, sis. I know I talk a lot, but
Well, you